in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. And so we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition, a sense we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. And so we've come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon the demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make the real promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlight path of racial justice. Now is the time, my friends, to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. Oh, it would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of this moment. This sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 and 2020 is not the end, but a beginning. Those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. Now, there will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But there is something that I must say to my people who stand on the warm threshold which leads into the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protests to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead to distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied with our destiny. And they have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. And as we walk, we must take the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back, my brothers. There are those who are asking the devotees of the civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto, to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating "for whites only." We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and the Negro in New York believe he has nothing to vote for. Oh, no, 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 we are not satisfied. We will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and the righteous like a mighty stream. I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered in the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Florida. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and the ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair, I say to you today, my friends. So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is deeply rooted in the American dream. Oh, I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. And we hold this truth to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Oh, I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. Oh, I have a dream today, my brothers, that even in the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. Oh, my friends, I have a dream that my four little sisters would live one day in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right down in Alabama, little black boys and little black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. Oh, my brothers, I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and every mountain shall be made low. The rough places shall be made plain, and the crooked places shall be made straight. The glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. This is the faith we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all God's children will be able to sing with the new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee. Oh, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Oh, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, oh, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the Houghton Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, my brothers, let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from the Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from the hill and the molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, we will allow freedom to ring. When we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Wow.
Get that boy some water.
That boy singing on every song when he know he can spit.
Get that boy some water.
Woo. That boy was spitting out there, family. What you talking about over there, man? Shout out to the homie.
Listen, man. Woo! Man, every time I hear that speech, brother,
I'm gonna be real with you.
Talk to me.
Did you throw some stuff in there that's relevant to today?
Yes, I did.
Because we was talking in the chat. I said, oh, I get it. He getting this Diddy on right now. Like he remix. Remix. I'm like, yo, I'm listening to you, right? I'm listening to the brother, and I'm like, yo, I ain't never heard Martin say this shit. Right. I was like, where is that? Dope, brother, dope, man.
Hey, man, listen. Facebook world, please help me and welcome to Orlando Strong. I know you guys have been seeing a lot of what's been going on. I know you guys have been seeing us repost. I got two of the most, not only the most influential people I know in the city, but my big brothers. I'm proud to call them my big brothers. I'm proud to have been raised up around them. I'm proud to have been raised up by their influence. I'm proud to have them go through what they went through, and they didn't let what they went through made who they are today. They are 10 times better. They are 10 times bigger, and they have come here today to not only help me give you guys a message in which I want you guys to receive and wholeheartedly and openly. I want you guys to really see this. Please help me welcome in Twan D and Jay Wise. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves first, and personally, let me let you guys know who I am. If you don't know, I go by the name of John Borgella, aka Baby J. If you can't say the baby, then don't say the J. Let me stop playing with you, man. Listen, it is my pleasure to welcome you guys to Orlando Strong. I've been in the city for a long time, and let me just tell you guys my story, my personal story of where I come from. I graduated high school 10 years ago. I had a couple scholarships to go play football, and I tell everybody this: I couldn't take none of my scholarships because I didn't have a green card. I tried to go join the Army, I tried to go join the Marines, and I tried to go join the Navy, and everybody said no because I didn't have a green card. That's when I seen that life doesn't go the way you want it to go, but it goes the way that it's supposed to go. So when that happened, that made me grow up a little quicker than I needed to. So of course I got right back around my older folks, and I started learning about who I am as a black man. I started learning about who I am as self, because the first rule to nature is self-preservation. If you cannot preserve yourself, if you cannot preserve those around you, and if you cannot cultivate those around you, you will never be able to nurture yourself. So once that happened to me, I started learning about who I am, because I couldn't be who I thought I was. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So once that happened, I started something called the Come Up Radio Show. And there's over 65,000 kids a year, guys, and I have to say this, that graduate that are just like me. But there was an earthquake that happened in Haiti. And because of that earthquake, America passed a law saying that they're not deporting any Haitians. So that was able to put me under temporary protected status. Now, I only was able to have 1 year. Every year I would have to keep renewing my papers. So I was always working like I had 1 year to work. Guys, 10 years later down the line, I am blessed to tell you that that did not make me, it made me better. Okay. It made me into a better man. I started researching about who I am as a man, and I'll get deeper into my story as we go. But just for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to my man, Jay Wise, and he's going to give you guys a little introduction of who he is, and we're going to go from there. Jay, talk to me, brother.
Yeah, I go by the name of Jay Wise, better known as Jay Wise Dessalines on Facebook, named after one of the great war minds, during the Haitian Revolution. Mm-hmm. I started off in the music industry, and that experience left a foul taste in my mouth, and it kind of opened the door for me to kind of transition into using my platform to degrade and perpetuate the negative stereotypes. But now I'm using my platform to share knowledge, a lot of the history that is unknown to our people, and also to work alongside my brothers and sisters to continue to grow the community. So that's where I come from. So Twan, it's on you.
Ha! What's happening, family? Twan D, the student. For those that know me from when I used to whoop your favorite rapper in the city ass on the stage.
True story.
I officially stopped pursuing music as far as a professional career in 2015. It just kind of it just really ended up manifesting into that. I had came from South by Southwest, and I had a little steam, you know, and I was like, man, I got to regroup. I feel I'm right there. I got to figure something out. And this South by Southwest was, it was when the baby was baby Jesus. He was in the middle of the road with a diaper on. And I was like, who is this dude? You know what I'm saying? And then a couple years later, so shout out to the baby. But when I came back home, hosting fell into my lap. And I you know, John, that's where, you know, obviously I know your brothers, but you know, where I really was able to, you know, kind of cultivate a relationship with you. And I was hosting a sesh for 3 years. And when the transition and becoming into a host, a lot of things I realized, one, I was getting paid.
Right.
I was like, I just talked and I'm getting paid. Like I was sweating and rapping and breathing hard, and I didn't get not one rap dime. I was like, I'm getting paid for this.
Yeah.
So that went into weddings, and that went into fashion show, you know, fashion shows and stuff like that. But from a conscious standpoint, really making a decision, that seed was already there for me, but really making the decision for it to be a part of me was around that time as well. You know, and working with this brother right here in the upper right hand corner, my upper right hand. You know, we've done Garvey Weekend. You know, I've helped him with his events. You know, he's blessed me to be able to interview one of my favorite elders. You know, Dr. Kaba. So, what we're about right now is just keeping our feet on the ground. You know, that's the saying that I use, man. So, everybody that know me know from when they know me since school, like, you know. My ability to speak out and speak up has really always been my strength, you know, and I was trying to use music as that avenue. But what hosting taught me was I can do it regardless, as long as I'm in front of people. So that's where I am right now, man. I'm here right now. I wouldn't consider myself an activist, more so than just a person of the community. And we here to make it happen, man. Juneteenth is arrived.
Right around the corner. So guys, if you don't know, let me get straight into it. So what we're going to be talking about today, I really wanted to get these fellas together because these are some of the most knowledgeable people I know when it comes to our Black history. Okay. So remember, my main thing is about educating. My main thing is about making sure we know exactly what we're celebrating. I can't stand somebody that's just a follower. You just hopping on the bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like when the Wakanda movie came out and all you guys went and bought all types of Wakanda gear. Y'all going to these movie theaters and y'all wearing Wakanda, y'all doing this. I have my Wakanda brothers. I ain't never seen so much Africans in my life, boy. I tell you what. I came out the woodworks, boy, for that one. So I felt like since we have such a big how can I say this? Donald Trump said it himself. He said he's the one that put so much hype behind Juneteenth. He's the one that's made it so popular. Yeah,
that guy right there off the chair.
Yeah. That's our president. You know, I love him, though, right? Listen, so we're gonna go here. Listen, I want you guys to know exactly what Juneteenth is. I want you to know the past, the present, and the future. This is specifically on Juneteenth. We have Orlando Strong. We have a lot more coming with you guys. We're going to give you guys a lot more, but this is going to be specifically on Juneteenth, on what Juneteenth is, on why right now it's catching so much flame, on what we want as a message for Juneteenth to represent. Because I see a lot of people talking about Juneteenth, but they don't even know what Juneteenth is. All right, they actually think Juneteenth today. They on their calendar looking for where's Juneteenth. Hey, John, I don't see Juneteenth on my calendar. No, duh, dummy. You know
they just added it on
yeah, bro. They try to find it on the calendar, bro. Like Juneteenth. Like what? What you trying to? It's not a month, bro. Crazy. But anyway, so we're gonna start with that. Jay, I think we're gonna go ahead and start with you. We're gonna let you start it off. And
I was definitely going to defer to him. I was definitely going to defer to him.
Yeah. I mean,
so we want to know, what is Juneteenth? So go ahead and give us an introduction to Juneteenth, guys. For everybody on Facebook, I will be taking notes. And for you guys, take notes also. I don't know if you guys just like taking information. I'm gonna be taking notes. Also, we're gonna have some notes in the comments. Join the conversation if you have a comment. Join it on Facebook. If you have something you want to add in, if you have any questions, go ahead and just pop it up. If I'm able to see the questions, I'll make sure that we get the questions to Jay. All right. But it's gonna be very informational, guys. Sit down, put your seatbelts on. Let's take a ride. Jay, Juneteenth.
Yeah. So this ain't gonna be long, you know. So Juneteenth is pretty much quote unquote the day when finally the slaves that were in Galveston, Texas were finally let free. So that was June 19th, 1865. So that's when they read the Emancipation Proclamation, and the slaves were set free. And I have here a quote from. So I have this book called. The Slave Narratives of Texas.
What is it called?
It's called The Slave Narratives of Texas.
The Slave Narratives of Texas, guys.
Right. So there was this organization, the WPA, where they were documenting the perspective of the slaves during that time, and that was one of the first jobs that Zora Neale Hurst had. She was working for the WPA, the Federal Writers Project, to kind of document the slaves in Florida and whatnot. And that kind of sparked her career into writing books and stuff like that. So that's a fun little fact to know, that she was part of the groups that was capturing the slaves' narratives. So an interesting quote that I have here from there is from a former slave named Pierce Harper. So he said, and they document this exactly the way they speak. They wrote it down word for word, and you can look this up. It's from former slave Pierce Harper, 1937. He said, "When peace come, they read the Emancipation Law to the colored people. They spent that night singing and shouting. They wasn't slaves no more." So he was just capturing the emotions that were going on the day when they were finally told that they were free.
So not to cut you off, can you repeat that last part for me? That last part of that quote that you just said. Can you repeat that part for me?
They wasn't slaves no more.
No more. And so this is what he was telling. This is when he arrived, and this is what he's telling to the people of Galveston, Texas.
No. So this is the slave Pierce Harper giving his perspective on what occurred whenever the general came to read the Emancipation Proclamation.
Okay,
letting them know that they were freed. But keep in mind, and I'm gonna cover all of this a little bit later when we're talking about the myths of the Civil War.
Got it.
But it wasn't all slaves that were free whenever they did come to let the free come to read the Emancipation Proclamation.
So all slaves wasn't free.
No. Okay. Not all slaves were free.
Okay,
but they were freeing slaves in the rebel states, and I'm gonna elaborate on that a little later once we get to the myths of the Civil War.
Go ahead. Finish. Well, you go ahead. You can continue.
Yeah. So I know you had the question you asked earlier. You know, how was it celebrated then, and why is it that we didn't celebrate it now?
Right.
So I don't know. Did you want to move on into that now?
No, because what I want to still get on is you saying something big I want to stay on is that you saying this is when that they came to Galveston, Texas, and they freed the slaves in Texas. So what was going on in the other states? Were they already free? Did they already receive that message, or what happened?
So we got to understand that Texas was an isolated state, right? It was a little far away from all the other states and a little far away from where the war was taking place. Mm-hmm. So what was going on, and this is interesting, right? The slave masters in the other states were actually taking their slaves and hiding them in Texas. Because Texas was sort of like, we have to get away from the mindset of what Texas was today and what Texas looked like back then. You see what I mean? So during that time, they were hiding their slaves off in Texas, and they were doing that because it was a little hard for the Union troops to go out there and do what they needed to do. So it wasn't until General Gordon Granger came out there with about 1,800 troops. And I think it was, I forgot his name. It was another General Edmund Kirby. He was the one who finally surrendered to the Union forces in Galveston, Texas, because they were still trying to hold on to the Confederacy.
Yeah, man. I mean, this guy here in scholarship, but I want to do this while we wait for my man.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of talking about, I want to ask you this because I was going to do it in my dissertation, but what I want to do in regards to Juneteenth is talk about the irony of the people not knowing. So going back a little bit, wasn't this 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation?
Yeah, so it was about 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. And mind you, I wanted to really dig into this once we start talking about the Civil War, because the Civil War is very important when we're going to understand Juneteenth, or to fully understand what it means in its totality. Kind of exercising out all the myths and whatnot. Because people had this preconceived notion that the Civil War was about freeing slaves. No. And that is a total myth, a total lie. So,
yeah. Sorry, it's a myth, almost like people finding out that Beethoven was Moorish. But anyway, yeah.
So Troy. Okay, so let's go into this. So one of the biggest myths that I want to get into. So Juneteenth wasn't the day that all black people were free.
No.
So yeah, Juneteenth and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. To my knowledge, was 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation.
Right.
So to my knowledge, the Emancipation Proclamation happened. Now, obviously, it's going to take a while to free 3 million. Like for 3 million. So I'm pretty sure like after the Emancipation Proclamation was written, it still took a couple years. But I think what's significant about this, right? And what I want to touch on is the irony of Juneteenth. These were a group of people that did not know what was going on, right? And this is 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. I remember last year, shout out to Miles. Last year, we did this Juneteenth event in Eatonville, which for those that are not watching that are not from Orlando or not from Florida, Eatonville is the first African American or black city, historical in that regard, in regards to what we're talking about here in Orlando. So it was real big to do it in Eatonville. And I remember telling him, I said, isn't it ironic that Juneteenth is about slaves being free that didn't know they were free? And to this day, we don't know about Juneteenth. And I think the irony in regards to the colors being hidden, and I always like to say this phrase, the colors was hidden, right? And this is just a prime example. We go to the Beethoven thing, you know what I mean? Like these, from a historical standpoint, in regards to who we are and what we were in 2020, we're still finding out, even though there are some people that knew certain things, you know what I mean? That heard the Beethoven story and things of that sort. There's been plenty of states celebrating Juneteenth forever.
Right.
But the irony that it hasn't been taught in schools, that it hasn't been a celebration.
Right.
In that regard. And the whole purpose of the celebration is kind of what Jay Wise was talking about. The celebration came from them finding out. So the first thing we're going to do is celebrate. And that is what translated into it becoming a celebration. But it's important that we understand that this is based off, again, not knowing.
Right.
Not knowing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the irony and the uncanny connection in them not knowing that the emancipation happened, and fast forwarding to 2020, and I'm loving this awakening. I'm telling y'all, I've been seeing it the last few years.
Yeah, and it's changing.
The pipeline is finally coming together.
It's going.
Shout out to all the jobs. Listen, whether it's genuine or not, we can say what we want to say.
Can we say that?
The fact that we are gaining the pride, Wise, I always talk about that. You two Haitian brothers have had since you was little, because when you were little, your story was told different. Your story was, we whooped them motherfuckers' ass.
Let them know.
We got in their ass.
And so not to cut you off.
And I saw it. When y'all grow up with a different boastfulness, it's a different pride. The shoulders are higher. The chest is poked out a little more. But my people told, hey, whips, boats, and chains. So nothing happened before that. We wasn't doing nothing before that. We wasn't.
No, that's not true.
So it all intertwines, and why it's very, very important for us to accept this, because like I always say, we have to reculture. We have to reculture because that was stripped away from us. It was taken away from us.
Man.
So,
and that's interesting. And I like the fact that you brought that in, right? That, you know, you were speaking about how Haitians have this sort of pride, because they defeated one of the largest empires in the world, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: Africans in America also had pride.
Yes, they did.
They also had pride, and so we gotta.
In what sense do you say that? And to what sense do you say that? Because I think I'm about to speak Creole. Listen, I'm about to speak Creole. Listen, you remember when we was younger, when Haitians were younger, and you guys can vouch for this. When I was really young, especially in America, it wasn't cool to be Haitian.
Right.
So
they eat cats, they eat goats, they eat dogs. I heard all the ignorant
shit. Listen, I done heard everything under the pound. But it amazes me now that, you know, that Haitian culture is so much in every single American household that we can imagine. Not to take away from what you said. I think and when you say pride and when you say a certain sense of culture, certain sense of respect, that's something I see in America. You see Haitian kids, when they walk into a house, they will go kiss their elders. They will go shake the elder's hand. It starts with that. It just starts with simple things like that. I have Americans that come to my house when I was younger. My mom would look at them like, what are you doing? You coming into my house? You didn't say nothing to me. You didn't shake my hand. So you don't already, if you walk in like that, you automatically don't have a sense of respect for self. So if you don't have, and that's what we're getting back to. So now I think, to speak on what Twan was saying, that I can agree with, is that he's talking about that there's starting to be a certain sense of self that's going on.
But check this out.
Just
to piggyback off of what you said, you're kind of touching on a key thing that caused Africans in America to lose their sense of self, right? And this is why, you know, we're wondering, why is it that we wasn't celebrating Juneteenth? Right. It's because that was stripped away. So if you look between the times of the late 1800s and 1950, right, celebrating Juneteenth became unpatriotic. So mind you,
what time period? Give me the time dates. Give me the time frame.
So this is between the late 1800s, so like 1889 to 1950.
1950.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes so we got to keep in mind that.
So there's a whole loss of history that happened into that time frame.
In between that time frame,
it became uncool to celebrate Juneteenth. So what these people started out celebrating became uncool.
It's not that it became uncool, is that celebrating it to Americans was a slap in their face. So you gotta understand. There's a lot of psychological stuff going on as well, right? There's shame. You know, shame in the fact that every time you celebrate Juneteenth, we're reminded of our original sin. You see what I'm saying? Every time you celebrate Juneteenth, you remind me of my crime, of how you were kidnapped, of how you were raped, of how you were disenfranchised. You see what I mean? So every time we were celebrating at the time, and we did our rituals, they did not like it. So then it then became some sort of crime to celebrate Juneteenth. So now, if we go back into history and we doing our research, we'll find the multiple occasions where we were being sort of redlined during the time of celebration. Right. So there was an individual. There was an individual in Texas. Who was trying to rent a field, like sort of like how we have on Colonial. You know, you got the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
So he was trying to rent an area for one of our celebrations. I forgot the brother's name, so forgive me. But once you do your research, you'll remember this, right? Right. So he was trying to get the county to allow him to do the celebrations, but they were blocking him. They didn't want him to do that. You know, wanted him to carry on with the celebrations. Right. So when they wouldn't allow him to celebrate in the fairgrounds at the in that location, what he decided to do was to get with his community he locked down about $100,000 and he built up this what you call it whenever it's like a stage and like a little building with a little stage that's kind of open where people could see, and they had a huge
like
Juneteenth
amphitheater downtown.
Huh?
Like the amphitheater.
Like amphitheater downtown.
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
Built it up, and it was huge, and they spent their money and they put it together.
Mm-hmm.
They celebrated Juneteenth, and the very next day
they burnt it.
Bulldozed the building.
Wow. Wow.
They
wow. So people can forget that ever happened.
Right. We don't want that standing. We don't want that stain standing there.
And this is the thing, right?
Wow.
That when we go back,
that's crazy. And
I'm gonna tell y'all. See, when I speak about this awakening,
yes,
I speak about it in the sense of time is up.
Yes, speak to me, brother. Speak to me.
Time is up.
It's far from.
And when I say they, I'm talking about the white men.
Yes,
that put places and things in this country and in the Constitution and all of that that only allowed white men to be in control.
That time is up.
And what we're seeing now with the change of Aunt Jemima, with the Uncle Ben, and everything that we're seeing is the result of no longer can you hide the history. Because guess what? These young white kids are a lot more progressively thinking than their parents and their grandparents.
Shout out to my white brothers.
And so what happens is the brothers and sisters out there, and this is why I get mad when people say, well, why we go in the past?
Yes.
Because there's so much that we don't know.
Yes.
It's so much of understanding that we have to get.
Yes.
And the nerve of you to destroy something that reminds you of what you did, but got the nerve to be upset when Robert E. Lee and Leopold and all these other nasty mofos get removed, and you say, well, you trying to remove our history. Hold on. The nerve and the audacity of this human being to even dare say that you got any kind of history other than fucking destruction.
Yes.
Let's keep it honest. This is not about being racist. This is about being real. And all my white brothers out there, y'all know you done grew up from a young boy, and everything that you see in authoritative figures is somebody that look like you, a white man. You develop a privilege and an audacity that you don't even know that you have. So therefore, when something like the flag is being kneeled or a statue is being removed,
you feel some type of way.
You are in your privilege so deep and so subconscious that you don't know that people that look like you've been doing this shit for years.
Bro, this is what's called system. Listen, when you speak of systematic, when we speak of what is systematic, this is exactly what we mean. You understand what I'm saying? Listen to what the brother just said now. He says, ever since, especially for my white peers, listen, I went to Oak Ridge High School for 3 years. Listen to what I'm telling you now. I went to Oak Ridge High School for 3 years. Black school. All right. It was kind of multicultural, but you can say it was more black, it was more African American. I went to Freedom High School for 1 year. Let me tell you guys, that's when I finally discovered that there is such thing as white privilege. Being at that black school, I never knew that there was such thing as white privilege. I never knew that that existed. Transitioning from Oak Ridge, from a school like Oak Ridge to a school like Freedom. I do appreciate Freedom because I got a lot of Freedom friends. Don't take away from nothing that I'm saying, but I have to be honest. Okay. If I was going to college the next year from Oak Ridge, I was not going to be as equipped as those kids were in Freedom. From the day that I walked into the classroom, these kids are literally 12 steps ahead. And then when I go into their communities, they're physically thinking they're better. Like literally, listen to what I'm telling you. If I didn't come in with being the audacious person that I am, being, I know I'm cool. I know I'm great. I know I'm black and I'm proud. So I came in there with that attitude. And so that was around the time when, I don't know, you guys will see what's going on right now, when a lot of white kids started transitioning into they're listening to a lot of more hip hop music, trap, techno, rap, and hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So that was around that time when that was happening. So what I ended up seeing, I'm like, whoa, but these kids were way more progressive thinking. when we had conversations. I butted head with white boys all the time. I was on the football field and I got white boys talking about nigga. Like, boy, I had to check them. Like, listen, you don't got the right to say that. You, even though you hear me and my dog David saying nigga to each other, I wish you would say nigga. I got arrested at Freedom High School for skipping the lunch line by a white police officer who wanted to make an example of a young black man. But
that's
listen,
that prison to school. That's that school to prison pipeline.
Yes, listen.
Listen.
That's what they do.
Criminalization, working at its fine.
And then to go back to what you're saying, Twan, when I seen the difference between my peers that were at Oak Ridge High School graduating, and now I can look at it 10 years later from the kids that were at Freedom, listen, they got off to a better start. The start that they got off was so much more advanced. Of course, they're thinking they're better than us. Of course, because right now it's a situation happening. None of them are speaking up as if I only see the select few speaking up. The ones that I need to be speaking up, the ones that I need to be talking, none of them are talking. So to me, what's happening right now, you get what I'm saying? It's coming. Yes?
Yeah, but I'm sorry to cut you off, but they can't speak up. And I'm going to tell you why they can't speak up. It's because they also don't know their history.
No, wow. It was hidden from him. It was hidden from them too.
Say that one more time for me.
And it's not that it was hidden from them. It's just that we have to look at it from a psychological standpoint, right? Okay. We have to look at it from an institutional standpoint. You have to think about that since they were children, they grew up seeing Superman. Superman was white. They saw Batman. Batman was white.
Right.
They saw images of themselves everywhere in greatness.
Right.
Clint Eastwood, the best cowboy is a white man.
Right.
So now when they go into the school system, the school system is telling them Christopher Columbus was great.
Yes.
Robert E. Lee was great.
Right.
Lincoln was great.
Right.
So that's all they need to know. And even if you
the booster clubs too, not only that, the booster, like they started seeing that because they knew about booster clubs. They knew that their parents were on the PTSA boards. They knew that they could get away with certain stuff in school. Like for me, when I got arrested at Freedom, right? That was so discriminatory. Like if my mom knew exactly what, you know what I'm saying, was on the PTSA board or was on some type of community board, she would have been able to go protest that. But these kids knew what they can get away with. They knew their privilege. And that's basically what I'm saying. When I transferred from Oak Ridge to Freedom, I seen that it was a great distinction between young white kids knowing who they are and young black kids knowing who they are. Literally, they would get stopped by the police around Freedom and they know that nothing happened to them because the police officers already know their parents in the area. Continue.
Yeah. So like I was saying, they don't even need to open up the history books because just walking down the street, they can see their history.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just walking down the street, they're gonna see John Young Parkway. So we just finally got Obama Street, and it's kind of a little small strip. We have the Martin Luther King,
which happens to be in every hood in America.
But you have to also keep in mind psychologically, Martin Luther King is a representation of being docile.
Black.
See what I'm saying? Not just black, but being peaceful, docile. That's why you don't see too many Malcolm X.
Not only do you not, I want to piggyback off of what Wise say because I'm gonna tell a story real quick, and it all ties into what we're talking about today.
Right.
It's almost like this quintessential image that they have of what they want the black man to be.
Okay.
So historically, they'll put up Martin, they'll put up Michael, they'll put up guys like this because they're safe.
Got it.
But what they don't tell you and what they don't put up is after that civil rights bill was passed and Martin seen that bullshit that was going on and how he switched his whole thinking and started talking about the redistribution of funds and all of that. They don't want to show you that. They don't want to show you the interview where he says, "My dream has turned into a nightmare." They don't want to show you that. That is documented information. You can go on YouTube right now and type in "dream turned into a nightmare," and Martin is sitting right there talking to that white man, and he ends up saying that. They don't want to. They always want to show you safe. So hiding Juneteenth, to go back and tie it into the subject, like Wise said, that's to keep them safe. That's to keep them comfortable. That's to keep the reminder out of the brain. If you notice growing up, it's always, you guys live in the past. Slavery is so old. None of you were slaves. I'm not a slave owner. Because what's insinuated and what is taught is that that's not your problem and that's not your fault. So everybody want black culture, but they don't want black problems. So what makes them comfortable is getting back to what is normal for them. So we want to bring sports back. We want to do all that because everybody loves black culture, but they don't want black problems. So my cry and plea to the players is they want the black culture because they're uncomfortable with the black problem right now. It's only been going on a month. You talking about giving them folks hell in the 60s, giving them folks hell in the 70s. We gave them hell for 2 decades.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
Hell.
Talk to me.
So when I see my brothers and sisters and everything is dwindling down out here, and it's only been a month.
Right.
We have to understand. What we have to understand is that everything was purposely designed this way. And what we got to do is self-accountability, but also accountability. And we got to point these things out. I don't care if it's something as small you think is small. Imagery is everything. So having Aunt Your Mama, when we know that's from that mammy image,
the minstrel
over the years, you brush the older black woman to look respectable. But when you see the original Aunt Your Mama, that's the mammy. You go back to Uncle Ben's and all of that stuff. So these things are important for imagery because when you find out the history behind these things, then you understand y'all got nerve to still keep this around, but y'all don't want us to celebrate a day that reminds all of what y'all have done.
Gator Bay.
What Gator Bay, all that. So what I call and what my call is going to be until they leave me from this motherfucker. And I'm gonna start on Juneteenth. Pay us what you owe us.
Say it one more time, brother.
Pay us what you owe us.
And say it one more time.
Want to hear black man. See, I don't want to hear black man. We don't take no money. See, that's the problem with us because we've always been thrown programs. We've always been thrown initiatives. We've always been thrown all of that we feel that we ain't worth asking for some money. That is owed to us because guess what? If that brother down the block owed you $40, you would go up in his shit.
You would have been took that picture. You would have been took that picture. I lost my Zoes right there in Texas Ave for 25 cents.
There we go.
So you can't tell me, to go back to that. When you look at history, Native Americans got paid their reparations. The Japanese got paid their reparations. Guam got paid their reparations. When you go down in history, the Jews got paid their reparations. And these all happened after slavery. All these things happened after slavery, and these people got paid out before us. It's because it's just like you said, black people in this country have become so docile. Let me not even just say this country, because you know what? Ever since Haiti gained their independence, all right? Ever since Haiti gained their independence, it's like you really see that, hey, there's some people that are in power. There's a group of people that are in power that are controlling everything that's happening around this world. All right. So I think that right now, not only do I see that Juneteenth is being celebrated not only here in America, but I see that all around the world now. I'm beginning to see that there are certain dances, like, guys, you don't even understand the amount of traction that this is picking up. And big bro, Twan, I got to tell you, thank you, bro. I got to tell you thank you. I got to tell Miles thank you. I got to tell you guys thank you, because you guys are actually paving the way for these young kids, these young brothers, my young sisters, to know exactly what this means. This is important because we've become too docile. How you doing, cousin? We've become too docile in this situation. We have to be prideful. We need something that is ours.
And what I want everybody, and I'm gonna pass it to Wise, because I got a question for Wise. What I want everybody to understand is we start to embrace this, right? And shout out to those that always known about it and always have done it. And for those that have family, use this moment to uplift. Use this moment to educate. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't want to use this moment as, oh, y'all niggas just knowing that. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? Use this moment to uplift. And before I pass it to Wise, one of the things I want to say to everybody is absorb this as being prideful. You know, for years, they made us feel that everybody can be prideful except Africans in America.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody can be prideful until it come to us and it's decisive. Yes. We can have a Puerto Rican parade. We can have Carnival.
Yes.
We can have all that. And shout out to my Haitian brothers and sisters and my Caribbean brothers and sisters and everybody out there. And we can have all this stuff. But soon as black folk come and do something, you guys are divisive. Why do you have a BET? Because MTV wasn't letting black people on that motherfucker.
Tell them.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and Black Man wasn't on MTV until he got with Aerosmith.
Right.
And they call it a crossover.
Right.
So we always got a crossover.
We got a comment.
One thing before I pass it to Wise that I want to say is this is a prideful moment. This is not anything to be shameful about. This is not anything to feel that you're being divisive. You know, this is not anything. This is something that we should have been acknowledged on a national scale. Right. And this is the first step, y'all, to really, really coming out of this. And like Corey Dad said on his comment just now, we got to understand it's not going to take overnight, but over time, because it took time for them to put us in this situation.
Yes.
So it's going to take some time, family, to get it out. And I'll go with this. We cannot be selfish because we won't be around when all this shit change. Yes. We cannot be selfish to spark that.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead to you.
You said you was going to ask me something.
We had a question for Wise.
Oh, so the question, the question that I have for you, right? With the information that you know and what we know specifically about, you know, Juneteenth, and we understand what emancipation is, and we understand that to the word, we still aren't free per se. But how do you feel about this national acceptance and the changes that you see are going on with companies adopting the holiday? You know, I just took it off at my job yesterday, and then later on that night, the CEO sends an email like, yo, this is what we doing.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that? How do you feel in regards to it being absorbed by our people? Obviously, the white corporations making a stance and doing it like this, and also your boy Trump saying that he made it famous because no one knew about it. Which, I mean,
yeah, I think I think he made it famous, but I think he definitely put a hype behind it. Jay, go, please.
Yeah, he just put some more hype behind it, though. You know, but you know, everything that they're doing right now, as far as, you know, removing the old minstrel and mammy images, and taking down statues and banning the flag, all of that is okay. It's nice. You know, I think it's sort of like a token thing, sort of a Band-Aid on the wound, you know. Yeah. But if you really want to show that you're about progression, then I want to see your support when reparations is on the table. I want to see your support in the voting booth. Clicking or punching a hole in the chat or whatever it is, saying yes to reparations.
Yes.
Now, whenever we total up the money, the amounts, that's what I was. I want to see you hire more black people or support black businesses.
So let's go here. I'm one for action, right? I'm one for action. So Twan, are we going to have any type of signups tomorrow? We need to make sure we start a petition to make sure that we are continuously talking about reparations, because since reparations is on the table.
Oh yeah. Reparations is already the conversation. I think.
So let's just make sure that we keep it on the table. So for tomorrow, can we and for my producer Brian, shout out to my producer Brian too, guys, that's doing all this. My producer Brian Scover. Hey Brian, can we see if we can get like some petitions going on for tomorrow for some of the events, because that's what we're about to go into next. We're gonna be talking about some of the events that are gonna be happening tomorrow. Is there any way that we'll be able
before we get into that, let me knock out that Civil War thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Oh, we ain't done. We ain't done, because I'm gonna tell you right now, piggybacking off of the whole reparations thing, and I'm gonna tell y'all how I feel. How I feel. One, yes, you got to cut the check. You also have to invest in our mental state. because the systematic things that have happened, Jim Crow, Tuskegee experiments, vacancy tactics, redlining, black codes, war on drugs, COINTELPRO, 3-strike rule, welfare systems, HUD. I mean, we can go on and on and on. It has psychologically damaged.
Wow. That's why you had to do that. Say that one. Why you had to do that to me, bro?
It has psychologically damaged.
Why you gotta mess me up like that, kid?
So when somebody says, well, why don't y'all pull yourselves up by the bootstrap? We ain't never had no strap. So going back
to reparations,
we talk about this thing that we talking about. I'm gonna be real with you. We going for the gusto. We going for eradication.
Right.
Because guess what? It goes back to that insecure being putting things in to make sure he himself is the only one in charge. Because guess what? I'm not going to write all men are created equal when I know who I came from.
Right.
You understand me?
Right.
All people are created equal. Color, creed, gender, boom. Eradicate the whole thing. If you really want to change, if you really want to see a new America, if you really want to make America great and it ain't never been, you eradicate the whole thing. You eradicate that Constitution that say black people are 3/5 human being. You eradicate that 13th Amendment that abolishes slavery but gives you the right to slave people if you put them in jail and then you go and over sentence them so you can keep them on the chain gang. You eradicate that Declaration of Independence that the people that look like me when y'all was in that room writing that, we was in whips and chains. You eradicate that. If you want to change this thing, you eradicate that. You put it in a museum and you say this is who we used to be, and we are sorry for what the fuck we've done. We are sorry for what we have done, not only to the black people in this country, all ethnic people in this country, but even to our own woman. The only reason they woman took the racist stand because they couldn't be a part of anything else they did. They love the black man. And we know this. They love the black man. They couldn't. White women in this country have only been able to vote since 1912. You do it to your own woman. What is it about you being in power, just you being in power, that even your own woman can't get a taste of it? You would rather put a black man as president before your own woman? Black man will never do that. If we was in charge, it would have been many black women presidents. Many. Because we know from a God standpoint and from a godly standpoint who runs this thing. We understand that and we know it. And Wise will tell you about that. He'll tell you about Kemet and the
Come on, I was just about to go there. You already
we can get funky today. But what I want to tell everybody is we have to go for the gusto. I'm going for eradication, reparations, and I want my motherfucking apology.
Goddamn.
And for those who are watching,
goddamn.
If you don't know who Queen Nzinga is,
Queen who?
Nzinga.
Queen, let me make sure.
Queen Amina.
Yes.
Queen Menelik. Queen Aminarines. These are people you have to go and look up. Queen Hatshepsut. Come on, man. There were women out there doing damage.
Nature tells you who is in power, who is in this thing. There ain't no king ant, queen ant. There ain't no king bee. Niggas ain't running around here calling themselves king bee. It's queen bee. The praying mantis kills himself for his woman.
So who we looking at right here? This is Nzinga.
There ain't no male Black Widow. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Black Widow is a woman. We understand these things when we do our studies. Go ahead, Wise.
Shout out to Fenton, man. Fenton, thank you for the laptop, man. I definitely appreciate it. We on it. But go ahead, Wise.
Corey, we're gonna get to your question.
These are the queens that you have to be aware of. That you see that there were a mixture of different levels of who ruled in Africa, right? So it wasn't primarily a patriarchal system.
Right.
It was matriarchal.
Okay.
It was patriarchal, and it was dual regents.
Okay.
So it was both that would rule at the same time.
Got it.
But these are the people that we should know of.
These are
Queen Nzinga, mind you, she was more of a warrior than her brother.
Wow.
She was more of a warrior than her brothers. She was a very intelligent, she had a very intelligent war mind, when it came to things like that.
Wow.
So, Queen Aminarines, she's also another one. We could go down the line. But what I wanted to get through real quick, if you could just...
We're talking about the myths, we're talking about civil, we talking about the civil, what we talking about, the Civil War, was it?
Yeah,
we was going to transition into that. I know before we transition into that, you wanted to wrap up the Juneteenth with events. Family, for those that are looking, there are several things going on. So please bear with me. I live here in Ocoee. For those that do not know about the Ocoee Massacre, what up, cuz? I love you. For those that don't know about the Ocoee Massacre and July Perry, all right, he was a brother that was out here fighting for voting rights, and they hung him. And that led to the Ocoee.
What's his name, please, brother?
July Perry.
Yeah, as long as you look up the Ocoee Massacre,
you'll
see all of that.
And this is right in our backyards.
This is right here in our
backyard.
Yes.
From 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on North Lake Shore Drive, which is basically downtown Ocoee. It's so funny what downtown Ocoee looks like. It's look like a big ass park. But anyway, they're going to be doing an event there at 3 p.m. Put together by Miss LaWanna Gelzer and Miles Moran. But Miss LaWanna Gelzer is spearheading it. She's a part of a national committee. This is how long this thing been going on. She has been a part of a national committee who not only celebrates Juneteenth nationally, but they also put together national marches. So tomorrow at 3 o'clock, there will be a pre-speak or a pre-rally. And then starting at 4:30, we're going to do a march, and it's going to end, I think, at Lake Eola, where there will be a big cookout.
Okay.
Within that time,
the block party.
Within that time, my brother Jay Fortune, who is 98.5, Studio 17 Creative, will be throwing a block party from 5 to 10.
Block party. Got it.
Shout out to Jay.
I got to back up real quick because, again, we're talking about Juneteenth events. Shout out to Ronnie Hartfield doing something super dope. Ronnie Hartfield from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. tomorrow. And if production can find on Facebook, I think it's Juneteenth407.com or something like that.
Got it.
They are doing a Black business scavenger hunt.
Wow.
You can join via Eventbrite. It is free.
Yes, Empire Tax Services will be there.
If you know about Amazing Race, like we said on the last one, if you know about Amazing Race, it's going to be something like that. So expect to drive anywhere from Eatonville all the way to Kissimmee, to Paramore, to all the historical sites. So on this scavenger hunt, you will be able to look up and find. There we go. My God.
Perfect.
On this site, you'll be able to participate. Groups up to 4. Everything is right there as production is scrolling down. Everything is right there. So, man, I am excited that this is going on in our city. Shout out to everybody that's putting something together. Shout out to everybody that I missed. My apologies. Right. But family, this is something that we gotta rock out on. And me and Wise, we sparked something a couple years ago with Garvey Day. And what we was talking about when we did Garvey Weekend was we can make anything that we did historically a celebration. We don't have to wait for them folk to make it an official holiday. Make sure whatever job you working that you got 8 hours of PTO set aside for something that we want to do. We can do Garvey Day. We can flip the whole Black History Month back to our favorite how it was, and we can celebrate Carter G. Woodson, the brother that created Black History Month.
What's his name? Carter G. Woodson.
All our lives, we say, man, they gave us the shortest month. No, a brother did that. So these are things that we can do, and we can reculture.
Bro, that I didn't learn that in history. Like, I swear I did not learn that in history class. I need you to repeat that name for me, please. It's either I skipped school that day, or I don't know, I was too high.
No, you didn't.
I don't know what it was.
Carter G. Woodson, a black man created. It wasn't Black History Month in the beginning. It was Black Cultural Month or something of that sort. And the reason he chose February was for 2 reasons. One, to honor Abe Lincoln, because that's his birthday month, and he emancipated the slaves, which Jay Wise is going to unveil that cover later. And to honor Frederick Douglass, because his birthday was in the same month. So that's the reason why February was chosen.
Got it.
You know, there you
Carter
go.
G. Woodson. There he go right there. There go the brother right there. Carter G. Woodson, guys. There he goes right there. That's the man that gave us Black History Month. Twan, is that him right there? You see him on the screen, Twan?
That's the brother.
That's the brother right there. Thank you so much. I never knew that. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, my brother Carter G. Woodson.
So let me go to the live comment real quick.
That brother look like me.
Let me go to a live comment real quick, and I'm gonna give it to Wise for the Civil War. My cousin said there's a book that I helped edit named Through My Father's Eyes. The author is from Plymouth, Florida. Mm-hmm. Her name is Gladys Franks Bell. It's based on the Ocoee massacre. She is a descendant of July Perry. So Plymouth, Florida is one of the places where my where you know I have family and that I partially
That's your cousin. Hey, can we pull that book up? Is it on Amazon or can we pull it up so the fam can see it?
Yeah. If you can
Brian, can you put that up for me, Brian?
You can comment if we could pull the book up. But Gladys Franks Bell, a descendant of July Perry.
Wow. Wow. Hey, I'm not gonna miss it. We're not gonna miss it because I still want to hold it. I want you to hold that thought. Please, we got to go back to the Ocoee massacre. Not a lot of people knows about the Ocoee massacre. And tomorrow remember that. Let me give you guys.
Yeah, you know we are, Jacqueline. Look at Jacqueline. She's like, you gonna tell who Lincoln really was?
Yeah. Tell me, I want to know. 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. guys. 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on North Lakeshore Drive. There goes the book right there. I'm gonna speak on the book just a second. 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. tomorrow in Ocoee, downtown Ocoee, North Lakeshore Drive. Guys, we're going to speak on the Ocoee massacre, okay? If we're going to do this, we're going to do it correctly. If we're going to go correctly, and we're going to go with the right pace. We're going to support everything that's going on in the city. Nike has made this a holiday. Twitter has made this a holiday. You've got Wyndham that made this a holiday. So, guys, please, I don't want no excuses. I don't want no excuses on why we can't do it. Now, let's put that book up. So, we got Through My Father's Eyes. Twan, you can go ahead and take right back on it. Thank you, Nick, by the way. Thank you. I very much appreciate it. Guys, if you have any comments,
man, shout out to my cousin. Actually, I'm gonna take it to Wise. I think we're gonna segue into the Civil War, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's important, man.
It's important.
It's important, man. It's important.
Yeah.
Because I constantly hear people parrot a lot of lies in the media, even in our own community. Mm-hmm. I tend to see even our own people parroting the same point of views as the white supremacists, right? So check this out.
You can give me a bottle of water?
So I want to begin by saying that, starting with when the colonists first came to the Americas, their primary goal was to make this land more profitable for England. When the first kidnapped Africans were brought to the Americas, they were practicing what we call indentured servitude. They served for about 7 years of hard labor, and then they were able to gain their freedom, right?
Got it.
Unlike the Europeans, Africans were not subject to English common law.
Got it.
They were workers without rights, all right? Keep that in mind. So in 1641, slavery was legalized.
1641.
Africans became chattel and personal property that could be owned for life.
Got it.
Why did it get legalized in 1641? It's because the colonies began to prosper, and exports were growing profitable while they were having their indentured servants. So it made the colonists it made it hard for the colonists to part ways with their laborers. So that's why in 1641 slavery became legalized.
Got it.
Slave labor became so profitable that in 1660 England's King Charles II, all right, England's King Charles II. Okay. He established the Royal African Companies, forts and castles. He developed.
Say that one more time. The Royal what?
The Royal African Companies, forts and castles. He established that company to transport humans they called black gold. You hear that, family? He developed this company to transport humans that they called black gold.
Got it.
Now,
Now let me ask you a question. Has that company, I don't know if you went and researched it this far back, but has that company transitioned or transformed into any other
company
port delivery company, such as a cruise line, such as an import or export? Is this company better known as blah today?
Fam, when you do your homework, you'll be amazed, right? Just do
it. I knew it.
Please tell us.
You'll be amazed, right?
No, please tell me.
Because I want to stay on track, right? I want to stay on track on where
the
we
name
at.
of the company was what? Fourth and Capitals?
So sometimes they will disband a company or break a company apart, and they'll get into transports of goods and services,
right?
But they were still smuggling slaves into the Americas.
Wow.
And I'm gonna get to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're getting into the 1800s, and we know in 1804 something very important happened.
I want to say this because I'm gonna tell y'all, everybody that's a Haitian brother of mine and watch me grow up know this. I love y'all culture and y'all people so much, and I have been able to witness what 1804 mean to y'all brothers and sisters. Listen. And I tell you this right now, family.
Listen.
It's a beautiful thing to walk around with that in your life.
Listen.
From a little boy all the way to a grown man, understanding that 1804 is my people's Independence Day. And it wasn't given. That's one thing that I want people to understand about Juneteenth, family. I want people to understand this. This is something that we had to be told. Mm-hmm. They got their shit. You know? So when I hear 1804 or I see 1804 and a phone number, it just resonates to me different. But go ahead, Wise. I'm sorry.
So in 1804, Toussaint Louverture and Jacques Dessalines, they defeated Napoleon, right? And the French Empire. Yet Toussaint and Dessalines aren't considered one of the greatest military minds in the world.
Yeah, thank you.
Of all time. So how do you defeat one of the greatest military minds of all time? Yet you're not ranked amongst the greats. But we're gonna get to that another time.
Later. Right? Let's save that for later for them.
So during that time, keep in mind. But before I move forward, the Vietnamese, the Arabs, and all other groups who studied guerrilla warfare studied the Haitian Revolution. I want y'all to remember that, family.
So you're saying that Vietnamese, Arabs, all these big nations, they studied
the Haitian Revolution, bro.
Got it.
Not only that, Nat Turner studied the Haitian Revolution.
Wow.
And many others were sparked by the Haitian Revolution. But don't get it twisted. The Haitian Revolution was not the first uprising. Okay, there was many others that came prior to it, but it was the biggest, the most impactful because it damn near bankrupt the French. Right. It damn near messed up the British.
Okay, not to cut you off. On the French. So if we're talking reparations for my brothers in America, we need to talk reparations for my French.
Man, we'll get to that. Is another long.
Okay. So let's not do that.
People, they did Haiti on some bull.
Yeah, dirty.
Listen, anyway,
all right. So now
Abe Lincoln.
Yeah. So now
we got 1641. We got 1641. Slavery was legalized. We got 1660 with King Charles with the Royal African Companies for Fort Castle. Then we got 1804. Something happened with Toussaint and Dessalines from there.
Right. So the Haitian Revolution happened, right?
Right.
It sparked in 1807 for England to finally outlaw slave trade.
Got it.
So fam, one of the real true reasons why they outlawed the slave trade is because of the uprisings. Okay. Because of what happened in Haiti. Now they was like, damn, we might be bankrupt, and if we have more uprisings, we might lose our power.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So now, later on, you seen that the French ended up losing Louisiana to the they sold it to America.
So you mean to tell me that the protest that's going on right now, the uprising that's going on right now, that they're a little bit afraid because they're afraid that history might repeat itself? Is that what you're telling me? Right? Mes amis. Whoosh, whoosh.
It could, but only if our people aren't scared of blood, bro.
Oh, people,
So in between 1820 and 1860, like over 1 million Africans were being moved and sold in the colonies, right? Because they were able to trade legally. So they had smugglers bringing Africans over, you know, under the guise of another company name. Oh no, we just bring in rice, but let's hide a couple of slaves here. You know, you see what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff was going on. We had some other atrocities going on, like inbreeding, buck breaking, and so on and so forth. You hear me, fam? There was inbreeding, forced inbreeding, buck breaking. And even the slave master, when he was able to get the buck to do his thing, because he'd be, you know, like what Twan was saying, sneaking around the back of his white woman and sleeping with the slaves, they would create light-skinned, you know, mixed race women. And what they would do is they would sell the mixed race female into prostitution.
Wow.
So so that daughter or whatever would either be sold into prostitution or they become the master's mistress.
Wow.
Now that we're talking about the master, I want to highlight something that people overlook and how you know slavery is still with us to this day.
Right.
So let me ask you and Twan something.
So go ahead.
When you're going to purchase a house, what are some of the things you look at?
Like for the house?
Yeah, you're going to view a house, right? You're going to purchase a house. And what are some of the things you look at whenever you're going to go purchase?
What area?
Well, if you've already figured out the location, I'm assuming this is figuring you've already figured out the location.
Yeah, you figured it out. You go into the home. What are some of the things you would go and look at?
Like
the kitchen.
For me, the first thing is I want to see how big the yard is.
All right, the yard.
I got kids. So I want to see how big the front yard is, how big the backyard is, and then obviously for the woman, how big the kitchen.
All right.
I wonder how many bathrooms they got in there.
Okay. What are some other rooms you would go into?
The master bedroom. Wow.
The master bedroom.
Wow. You set us up for that one. You nasty.
Shut your
nasty for that one, guy. Go ahead.
You would go into the master bedroom. Whenever you want to make love with your woman, you're in the master's bedroom. So I just wanted to point that out since we're talking about the master and
guess what? Since we talking about verbiage and we talking about history and we talking about removing shit, well, maybe they need to go ahead and remove that whole master.
Look.
Master.
In my home,
we talking about the Masters tournament.
So
let's go ahead and remove it.
It's a shame, bro. This is so deeply rooted. It's almost nasty.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Yo, listen, dude, that's so subconscious. That is such a subconscious game right there. That is evil. That is evil.
I told you, bro, it's psychological. A lot of it is psychological. And their history, they don't have to look in the book. It's already everywhere.
So their kids don't need to do no studying. It's already all around them. They don't need to teach they don't need to teach their kids how to be racist because they're just going to learn from their environment. They don't need to teach their kids how to be superior because they're just going to learn from just watching.
Now, I want people to understand something. One of the things that we also have to start doing, right? When Pac say we got to change the way we eat, change the way we act, change the way we talk. One of the things that we got to stop and we got to eliminate this white supremacy. See, all the things that Jay is talking about today and all the things that I talked about and what we're going to touch on, that is fragility.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't put these things in place if you already know you're superior.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you already know, I mean, when you was on the football field, it's a lot of times you didn't have to tell somebody you was going to smoke them.
Right, exactly.
You knew stepping on there, you was more superior than him. So guess what? You didn't have to do nothing to his cleats. You didn't have to do nothing to his locker. You didn't have to purposely make him late to miss the race because you knew I am superior. So there's nothing that I got to do to make you feel like you can't win because the abilities that I have, you already can't win.
Yes.
So when you put things in systematically to only put one type of person on top, to me, that shows how fragile you are. That shows the fragility in your behavior.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you look at it, and we're talking about images, right? We're talking about how it took 44 presidents just to get somebody that just wasn't a white guy, right? Not even a black president, just wasn't a white guy. That's the example of fragility. You mean to tell me that nobody else, the previous 43, a woman or anyone else wasn't equipped? This goes back to the fragility. This goes back to implementing certain things, right? COINTELPRO. That's the result of fragility. They was upset that Huey P. knew all them laws like that.
Wow.
And that these niggas can tote these guns.
Wow.
They was upset about that. And when I say they, I'm talking about the white elitists. I'm not talking about non-racist white men or non-racist white women. And I want y'all to understand that. And this is why I say y'all really got to ride with us when y'all ride with us. Because when we talk, see, when we say cracker, we're not saying all white people.
Yes.
Some of that could be the black police.
Yes.
But a lot of y'all, when y'all say nigga, y'all mean even the brother that was educated too.
Yep.
So again, when we go back, when we and these names and these titles and all of this stuff is being put on you, that's just the result of fragility. So family, I want people to understand today that we have to eliminate and start eliminating a lot of this verbiage. And the one thing that we have to start eliminating is that supremacy word.
That right. And I was going to go into that. What before you go on is
shout out Cha Cha if you still watching. That's my girl. I love Cha Cha.
What do we do, right? And I love this conversation so much is because you guys are so engulfed with knowledge. And to be honest, speaking for my generation, we're not gonna sit here and be. Sometimes it's boring. And sometimes we don't have the attention span. We're already the microwave generation. You have to think about it. You're already talking about subconsciously. It was already instilled in us for our minds not to be able to pay attention to conversations like this, for us not to be able to track to conversations like this. So I need, and this is a challenge that I'm giving you to both you and Jay Wise. If you notice, when we used to go to school, you had a homeroom class, right? You had homeroom. You had your homeroom class. And in your homeroom class, what you would do is, and in every class, you had bell work or you had a warm up. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to give my people too much at a time, but I do want them to start grasping information. So I don't know, and this doesn't have to be answered now because you know what? I just sat back and I just listened to what you were saying, big bro, and it literally just dawned upon me that we have to get knowledgeable about what's going on. But guess what? My generation don't have the attention span to, but you can subconsciously. I don't either. You can.
I don't have the attention span.
You can but guess what you did though? You found a way to subconsciously implement these knowledge into your minds throughout time. Whatever was happening, whatever happened to you, somewhere along the line it clicked. Jay Wise, from the Jay Wise I know that was wearing the big TIO chain and the hood is red. Somewhere along the line it clicked. So I need to figure out what's clicking, and we need to make it click for my peers. I'm gonna leave that to you guys to do. That don't need to be answered. I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. That's a good question.
That's a good statement. And me and Wise can get together. One of the things I used to love that he did, and Facebook would shut him down a lot, is on his news channel, Huru 6 or what?
Huru 6.
Yeah.
And before that, it was
Awesome News. But Huru 6 is he would put like lectures up, you know what I'm saying? Or he'll put like documentaries up. So for me, like I'm a visual person. I've always had to learn touching and you know what I'm saying? You can't sit me in no classroom, put no book in front of me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a really fade off, you know.
Right.
Wise has that, you know, that patient, you know, let me open this book. You know what I'm saying? And we all learn differently. And I think it's about our learning styles. You know what I'm saying? We all learn differently. But what I would say, family, is, and me and Wise can definitely get together off air and put something together, and we can call it homeroom or bell work. You know what I'm saying? But start with the lectures. Because one of the things that you will notice, family, is everything that we see today or that we're trying to eradicate today, all our brothers and sisters was trying to. And the plan has already been laid out. If we want to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What do we want to do? Do we want to do Garvey? Do we want to do Noble Jew Ali? Do we want to do Tucson? You know what I'm saying? Like where do we want to go? Like we can make it, or we can just add them all together, put them all together, and create something to say this is what we're gonna do based off of these blueprints. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I think we need to start putting that amphitheater. We really need to start putting that amphitheater to work. I want to start doing like live plays, live events. I want to get together with some people so we can do some plays and actually put that together. So if that's the way that my people learn, I want to be able to kind of make sure that I'm giving them a platform to where they can learn. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And these are things that I'm not expecting BET to do. I'm not expecting MTV to do that. I'm not expecting Oprah and Tyler Perry to be able to do something like that. You get what I'm saying? This is with
big ass land that he got over there. That's on a former slave plantation. And he ain't pumping no information out that studio. That's a damn shame.
Doing everything himself. Right, no information. No information. So what we need to do is get, we're gonna make that happen. Wise, what did you want to go to? You still wanted to finish on the civil rights?
Yeah. And I wanted to touch on real quick on something that Twan said about, about how the Panthers were armed and whatnot. I just want the fam to know that we have to also be careful with the people that we're working with, because a lot of people weren't aware that the person who armed the Black Panthers was working for the FBI. So therefore, the FBI was arming the Black Panthers in order to eliminate them.
Was that the Asian looking guy? Like,
Richard Aoki.
Yeah, I came across a video the other day, and he was like, it said the guy that armed. See, okay, so this is what we talk about when we talk about what you're saying, John. I guarantee you, Waz probably learned that from reading. But you know how I learned that? I saw a video of it. So the same information, the same information that he was talking about. That's why I was like, oh, the Asian guy, you know what I'm saying? Boom, boom. Because I knew, you know what I mean, would scroll on the video. So, and we'll get to that. We'll get based on the learning style.
And just to add to that, I think it's also
take us out. Wow,
a real good thing for us to be able to present information to the people, right? If we're gonna do a lecture, we got to make sure the lecture is palatable. Because in the same sense, whenever you listen to music, right, there's some songs that catch your attention, and the lyrics and the beat is bopping with each other. So we have to present the presentation in that same manner. Make sure it's bopping, that the people is moving. When I dropped that little bomb on y'all about the master bedroom, you see how I got you engaged?
Yeah.
You see how our people are reacting when they figure out that Beethoven was mixed breed? Like, do you see? And you know why that reaction is like that, John? Because it's been hidden for us so long. So, I'm a quote what Pac said in the Ed Gordon interview. He said, almost directly after the pride becomes anger.
Wow.
And Wise, I've talked to you about this before. I call it first level woke. Right. Because when you come into this Black consciousness, the first thing you find out is damn near everything that you learned was a lie. They did stuff. They took stuff away. They whitewashed stuff. I mean, something as simple as Beethoven. That's supposed to be spelled B-E-Y. They dropped the Y so it doesn't reference
Shut your mouth,
brothers and sisters.
Shut your mouth.
So it's little stuff like that.
Is that real?
And when you find that out, I think what's happening with a lot of brothers and sisters and why you see them so radical on their Facebooks and everything like that is because they're finding out now, like, yo, you lied to me. I mean, it's just like if your girl figure out she lied to you. You see how she tripped?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You see how she tripped? But what we got to do is once we find out that, then we got to take it to that next level, family, that next level of because consciousness has different levels. Black consciousness levels. I'm talking about eating. You know what I'm saying? That's something that I gotta improve. You know what I mean? So I think that's why the elder Pharaoh said that he made a video series. It said Black Lives Matter until it's time to eat.
Right.
That's a real thing.
Right.
It's a real thing. You want the cops to stop killing you, but you just came from McDonald's getting in trouble. I'm guilty. I am guilty. You know what I'm saying? Family, this is so much that we got to do, and I'm telling you, Wise, I always defer to his knowledge. He know that. Me, I'm more so in your face with it. Like, okay, this is what we need to do. I gather my thoughts and I say, this is the plan we need to come up with. And it's two different things, but we on the same the same page. And don't think Roz ain't radical just because he ain't rah-rah. This is just my personality. I'm just emotional as cancer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You feel me? But
John know.
Oh yeah, I know.
You go ahead.
I know.
What were you saying?
Listen. That's my big brother, my protector. Listen, I done had Wise come to the front door like, boy, where he at, John? Like, where he at, boy?
I'm gonna let you because I wanna end this live with saying something in regards to my sisters and something that happened in the last couple of days in Orlando. So Wise, I'm gonna let you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to fly through it real quick. We good on time or?
No, because we got
production saying that we at a certain space. So Wise, I'm gonna let you go, and then I want to wrap it up with what I want to say about the sisters.
Yeah. So where was I at, John? Because you were taking some notes.
Well, you were really talking about the whole master bedroom thing and the knowledge.
Yeah. Okay.
How you reacted when I dropped that jewel on you? That's kind of
So I'm gonna move forward to 1861, which is when the civil rights when the Civil War began, and the timing is important because the Civil War began in 81. I'm not sure if production could pull up an exact date for me. But it began in 81. And in recent time, I see that it's common for people to kind of misunderstand what occurred in history. They twist and they contort and they Photoshop history.
April 12th,
April 12th, what was that?
April 12th, 1861.
All right. So document that for me, right?
Yeah.
So like I was saying, they twist and they contort history to fit their current ideals. And sometimes it's primarily because of either guilt, shame, or trying to cover up the past, or to pretty much put themselves in the good light, right? That in the America's greatness light, sort of, right? Okay, so good. So, that's the Civil Rights Act of 1866.
Yeah, that's the Civil Rights Act. The Civil War began in 1861, April 12th, 1861.
Yeah,
I think it ran through April 9th of 1865, I believe.
Yeah, he had just recently pulled up the Civil Rights Act of 1866.
Yeah,
that was to help and protect the Black people at the time. But it was vetoed by Andrew Johnson. But then Congress got it back in. Then he attempted to veto it again, but they didn't need the signature.
Wasn't that around the same time they did a treaty with the Native Americans? The treaty of 1866 around it? You know the treaty I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know the treaty.
I believe so, yeah. And I think right around that time there was the American-Mexican War as well. So there's a lot of things going on around the 1860s, man. So,
hence where you get the whole cowboys. And if you ever watch a Western, and I grew up watching Westerns because my dad loved Westerns, but if you ever watch Westerns, right, and we go in to talk about hidden in plain sight, if you ever watch Westerns and you see like the cowboys fighting like the Mexicans or the cowboys fighting the Indians, like that's what Jay Wise is talking about. Like, so if you ever seen a Western where they're fighting the Mexicans, you know what I'm saying? That's what Jay Wise is talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the Union forces, I want to make this very clear. They did not fight and die to free slaves. I'm gonna say this again. The Union forces, the Civil War, was not about freeing slaves. That was not the banner under which the Union forces raised their arms. Okay. They were fighting to hold the nation together, because you got to understand
they were stifling the economy.
Right, man. It was about economics as well, but you got to mind you, the Confederacy, the rebel states were trying to operate themselves separate from the Union. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So Lincoln, I want to make this clear. He did oppose slavery, right?
Got it.
But he was still a white supremacist.
Okay, but he had slaves also. That's also right.
We'll get to that. I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna tell production to pull something up for me though. So I want to make this clear that Lincoln's main purpose and his main goal was to preserve the Union. His main purpose, his main goal was to preserve the Union. And we can get this information very simply. So if production could do this for me, pull up the letter to Horace Greeley. And that was in August 22nd, 1862.
That boy got years and numbers.
That boy got that knowledge, boy.
Y'all better holler
That boy got that knowledge. Y'all better take notes. Woo! I
don't know if production, man. I don't know if you can zoom in for me.
Shout out to production.
I want to zoom in. Yeah. Scroll down for me. Scroll down and right there. Okay. All right, just hold it there. All right. So I'm gonna begin with this. I don't want to read the entire thing, but there's one important area. Now, mind you, this is a letter from Lincoln to Horace Greeley, right? In August 22nd, 1862. All right. So I'm going to begin at, if I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it.
I was going to say that quote. I was just going to say
if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. I would do about slavery and the colored race. I do because I believe it helps to save the Union. So again, we don't have to keep going. Like I said, his only goal was to save the Union.
Wow.
So I want to kind of elaborate on what was going on.
Wow.
During that,
they did put him reversed on the penny because they felt some kind of, if you want to know why Lincoln is on the penny.
Wait. Give me a
it's
second.
facing the opposite way.
I never noticed that.
If you want to know why,
I need a penny.
Jay Wise is about to tell you. Go ahead. I mean, I ain't tell you, but he ain't about to tell you. But I'm saying, like, they was upset at Cuzzo.
Yeah, they was upset. But he was still on the side of white supremacy. And the one document I like to pull up to kind of highlight that, and if production could do me this favor, is look up Lincoln.
Wow.
Versus, it was a debate in Charleston.
Wow.
Lincoln versus, what was his name? Lincoln versus, it was the fourth debate in Charleston. See if we could pull it up that way. Lincoln's fourth debate in Charleston. Yes, that's it. All right, so
Production ain't playing.
Nah,
hey, production called Spectrum like, yo, I want the fastest Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Hey, can you scroll up just a little bit? I want to see who he was debating. All right, scroll down. So it's okay. In this fourth debate, scroll down. Okay, so he was battling. He was debating Douglas. All right, so scroll down just a little bit, and right here. So this is right into the beginning of his speech.
Okay.
While I was at the hotel today, an elderly gentleman called upon me to know whether I was really in favor of producing a perfect equality between the Negroes and white people. And there was a laughter in the crowd. While I had not proposed to myself on this occasion to say much on that subject, yet as the question was asked me, I thought I would occupy perhaps 5 minutes in saying something in regards to it. I will say then that I am not, nor ever have been, in favor of bringing about any way the social and political equality of the white and black races.
Wow.
That I am nor ever have been in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes. So just to pause there.
This is somebody that's on your $5 bill, family. This is somebody that's on your $5 bill.
This is what we're talking about, systematic, right? We're talking about institutional. I am not in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. And I will say, in addition to this, that there is a physical difference between the white and black races. Here we go. Here we are perpetuating the superiority of white over the black.
The fragility.
which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together on terms of social and political equality.
Wow.
And inasmuch as they cannot so live, while they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior. While they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior. I had to read that again.
Keep his ass backwards on
the next part is just as powerful. Wow.
That's why your ass on the penny.
And I, as much as any other man, am in favor of having the superior position assigned to the right white race. This is your boy. This your king? Is this your king?
Your man's.
This is who they said that. This who freed us. This who made us.
Now,
He says, "And I, as much as any other man."
Emancipate is to let go from bondage.
Whoa,
You notice why they don't use the word free. Like they'll slip free in there every now and then, just for sake of argument.
Wow.
But documented and legally, it's emancipation of proclamation. What is a proclamation, Wise?
It's not freedom of proclamation.
What is a proclamation, Wise?
It's practically a statement. That's all it is, man. So now check this out. The document, the Emancipation Proclamation, we don't need to document that no more. Yeah, thank you, Brian. So
it's a public or a proclamation. The definition of proclamation is a public or official announcement.
That's all it is.
Public or official announcement.
You made a statement.
Hey, we're making a statement.
There wasn't anything legally written. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so
there wasn't like, yo, we're talking about 1984, 85. The state of Mississippi eradicated slavery.
Wow. What? 19 what?
I was born in 1984, family.
What?
It's documented information. To this day, I was on a live stream last night, and to this day, some places, and I think the brother said he was from Alabama. To this day, they still have separate proms.
Wow.
There's some places, some rural places. Obviously, these places are more rural and not more progressive, advanced, right? You know what I mean? So a lot of these places are more rural places, but in America, we still have this. So I love J. Ross for giving
that. Wait, guys, wait. Listen. Until, can you guys hear me?
Oh, wow.
Until February 7th of 2013, the state of Mississippi had never submitted the required documentation to ratify the 13th Amendment, meaning it never officially had abolished slavery. Yo, Twan, you just slapped me in the motherfucker. Whoa. Sorry, mommy. I'm so sorry. Whoa. Wow.
Yeah, and that was something I was doing. I'm glad that was brought up though. But
dog, that makes me upset, bro. That makes me upset.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So let me keep touching on what was going on during that time.
People, that's some sick people, bro. They're sick. They're sick.
So keep in mind that the document didn't apply to all the slaves. So the Emancipation Proclamation only applied to those in the rebel states. So those that were on the border, the Union border, the states on the Union border, like Missouri, Kansas, Kentucky, those states were able to keep their slaves. The Emancipation Proclamation, like I said at the very beginning of this conversation when we were talking earlier about Juneteenth, that even though, the Union went out to Galveston, Texas to pretty much read the document to free the slaves, for those who were there who didn't know that they were free, there were still other areas in the Americas still practicing slavery. The reason why they were still able to practice slavery is because Lincoln needed their loyalty. If he were to free all the slaves in all the states, there was a chance that some of the bordered states like Missouri, Kansas, and so on and so forth, those Union bordered states, would turn on them, would turn on him and turn on the Union and flip sides and join the Confederacy. So as you know, so this is why I say this constantly to people who try to, manipulate history and say, well, they died for the slaves. The Emancipation Proclamation didn't get signed and whatnot till they were 2 years into the war. Wow. Freeing the slaves wasn't even a thought until they were 2 years into the war. But I want to take a step back before the proclamation was even a subject at the time. It was actually our ancestors who were making a case for themselves. How? How were they making a case for themselves? Whenever the Union soldiers would come up during battles or whatnot, whenever the slaves would get a chance, they would run behind the Union lines. So our ancestors would think, we're finally free. What they would do is those who were the runaways would get captured by Union soldiers and put in what they called contraband camps. Do you know what contraband is? Contraband is practically property of somebody, right? Mm-hmm. It's a product, some type of property that belongs to someone. Mm-hmm. So they had a law at the time that contraband must always be returned to the owners. Mm-hmm. Meaning those slaves who ran behind the Union lines and thought they were free were not really free. They were put into contraband camps. And in some occasions, they were returned to their masters.
And those that weren't, if you can touch on, see, when we go back to this reparations discussion, mm-hmm. there was a lot of slave owners that were compensated due to loss of property.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that real quick. We're going to get to that. So I want to elaborate a little more.
Loss of property?
So if you want to know why
they had insurance on their slaves.
If you want to know why we being shot down, if you want to know why we being done, how we being done, and how we are allowed to be done, how we have been done, outside of what I believe, which is calling ourselves a color, has no standing in law, and me and Wise, we get on that, in that regard. But it's this: we're still considered property. Go ahead, Wise.
Yeah. And when you go back to King Charles II and the Royal African companies, you'll see that they were insured. And those companies that and those slave traders who had insurance on their ships, those insurance companies still exist. Some of those insurance companies are still, benefiting from the slave trade.
And this is why I say, family, when we talk about reparations, we already know we owed money. The question is, who owe us the money? The British?
The French?
All the companies that ended up being moguls and billion-dollar companies generationally, mm-hmm. cotton companies, railroad companies, mm-hmm. transport companies, export companies. We need stake in all of that. Aunt your mama, you can change the name, but you done been a billion-dollar company for years. We need that money. Uncle Ben, we need stake in that. We got to be specific. Going back to Corey's question earlier when he said the preparation, we got to be specific in how we ask for the monetary compensation.
Yes, very specific.
We got to come from those that are still benefiting. Go ahead, Rob.
And not to finish you off, there's to piggyback off that, dude. I'm going to actually do in-depth research about what my man Jay said earlier. I'm taking my notes, guys. Fork and Castle.
Fort and Castle. Yes.
Fort and Castle, which was the Royal African Companies.
I guarantee
I'm going to do.
I guarantee
all my
you
people
it's one of your
watching.
favorite companies.
For yes, exactly.
I
guarantee you.
Of course.
Wow.
And keep in mind that the Royal Company, the Royal African Company, built those forts and castles on what they called the Gold Coast, where they were transporting black gold.
All right, Chris.
So where I was at the contraband, right? So mind you, I'm gonna kind of recap a little bit, right? Uh-huh. The Africans were running behind Union lines. The Union troops would capture the runaways and put them in contraband camps. In some cases, they would return the contraband back to the owners. But some of the generals were against returning the slaves back to the owners. Why? Because they felt that it would benefit the Confederacy if the Union were to return contraband. So the generals were, when you do your research, you'll see, were already in Lincoln's ear saying, bruh, if we are returning these niggas, man, it's going to help them.
Wow.
It's going to help them build up the roads for them to transport and all that stuff. It's going to help them because the Africans were at the time body servants or camp slaves. So what our people were doing on the Confederate side, don't listen to the lies talking about, oh, there were black people who fought for the Confederacy. That's BS. That's lies. What like they'll pull up photoshopped images of Africans who were on the Union side and Photoshop it. That's why I said earlier they be photoshopping history. They Photoshop it and made it seem that there were Confederate fighters, Africans on the Confederate side fighting to remain slaves. Come on, bro.
Right?
Robert E. Lee and them already knew if they put Africans at war, on the forefront, that they're going to run away. Right. They're going to put their arms and disappear.
Right.
Take their arms with them.
Let's go. Let's stay on track, guys. Let's stay on track so we don't overrun it too much. Like I said, we don't want to engulf these people in too much information.
No, we almost at 2 hours.
Yep.
Yeah. So real quick. So it was actually the generals who was in Lincoln's ear telling him that, hey, we need to stop sending these slaves back because it's only helping them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what gave the initial push for them to, as a wartime measure, to free the slaves, to weaken the rebel states. It's not because they felt like this was a moral cause and let's free the Africans. Nah, it was a wartime measure. It was just battle moves, bro, chess moves. That's why you see it didn't happen until 2 years into the war. So that's that, and then we get to Juneteenth and whatnot.
Damn you, Marlon! I just saw your post. He's talking about something. I think Antoine hairline was contraband because he don't have it no more.
Hey, mine is too, cuz.
Hey, Marlon. So when we went to high school together, Marlon know I've been bald since goddamn 11th grade. That's why he talking shit.
Hey, my fault. Hey, man, all the greatest men in history was bald. Y'all ain't noticed that?
Yeah, man. So I'm pretty set. I think that's good enough information for the fam to go off of.
Okay. All right, guys. Wow. God dog. I hope we didn't give you guys too much. I hope we didn't punch you with the too many lefts, too many rights.
Never too much.
I hope so. But I definitely hope you guys got something out of it. Listen, guys, like I said, man, we've came a long way, but we've also have a long way to go. And let me start off by saying this. Let me finish off by saying this, guys. Don't forget, in order to have what other people don't have, we have to be willing to do what other people won't do.
Come on now. Talk about it.
We literally have to be willing to do exactly what we spoke about. Everything that was talked about today was powerful in its own essence. When you talk about reparations, when you talk about changes that are going to happen to a system that was built for you to fail, listen, you're talking about a long days of work ahead. So for all my youths, especially for my generation, all I ask from you guys is to be open-minded to receiving the information. I can't tell you how that information is going to transpire. But if we're going to make history, let's be on the right side of history. If you're going to march with us, let's march with us on the right side of history. We don't want to be on the wrong side of history. I don't want 50 years from now to hear that we could have did something right now when we have the momentum, which we do have.
So tell everybody in sports and entertainment, shut it down.
Yes.
Shut it down.
Exactly what Kyrie Irving is saying. We don't need to go back to the NBA. We don't need to go back playing no football. We don't need to go back to doing anything that's going to make more distractions for us. We've been distracted for way too long. Enough is enough. If you're going to wake up, be all the way woke up. I don't need nobody sleepwalking, because you can be awake and you can literally be walking all around your house. It's called sleepwalking. And I done had a lot of my brothers doing that. So from now on that we're woke and our eyes are open, I need for us to believe, and I need for us to really put it in our minds that change is going to happen, because change is going to come one way or the other. Listen, you got the Haitians behind you. You got the Africans behind you. You got the Australians behind you. You got the Canadians behind you. You got the Arabs behind you. You got the Indians behind you. For the first time in the world, for the first time in history, the world is watching. The world is with us. So let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. Let's get up and let's stay up and let's fight up. Twan, what do you got to say for me, brother?
Shout out to everybody that watched this. Shout out to Amp Trip, a young brother out there on the front line. Shout out to James Brody who shared us. Shout out to everybody in the live, Jacqueline, my cousin Nikki, for dropping that book on us. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to you guys. But I'm gonna close this with saying this, and I wanted to get on live, but I'm gonna say this, family. In our culture, you know, there's a reason why we love our dads if we know them, but there's a reason why we love our mamas. You know, as Sarah Sunsetti put it one time, is when we come out the womb, the first person that you scream for is your mama.
Yes, sir.
So when it comes to protecting these women and making sure these women are safe, especially if they are in a time of impairedness where their judgment can have lapse in judgment, it is our responsibility as men to these sisters to protect them in that situation, to protect ourselves and our character in that situation, to protect everything that we are about in that situation, to the point where a young sister don't have to come out the next day and say you sexually assaulted her. That she can feel comfortable and wake up the next day and give you a text message or give you a call and say, hey, brother, I appreciate you last night for getting me home safe and walking me in my house and laying me on my bed. And I woke up and I had a towel next to me and I had water and I had 2 aspirin next to me with a note that said, hey, you was drunk as fuck last night. I just laid you down and blah, blah, blah. I appreciate you, brother, for doing that. But what we don't want to see is a ring of messages asking you why you touched a woman when she felt she was unconscious. As a sober person, we don't want to see that you've misread a situation when you have not been on anything to impair your judgment as this young woman has. So what we want to do when we want to nitpick and we want to do these things, when our women come to the forefront and we wonder why they don't come to the forefront. And for those that come out later, we say, well, why it took you so long? Because we could say that to the powers that be. Why it took you so long to remove Aunt your mama? Why it took you so long to remove Uncle Ben? Why it took you so long? We can say that all day. I can say that to Jordan. Jordan, why did it take you so long to care about black people? But at the end of the day, it's about the principle, family. We got daughters. We are sons of mothers. We are grandsons. We are nieces and nephews. And the one thing that we got to do is we got to protect our women from slime ball ass dudes. This is a moral compass that I'm talking about. There's no law of having sex with a drunk woman, but there's a moral law.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you are a man,
Yes.
and you are around a woman that is impaired, and you are around a woman that judgment is off, I don't give a damn what she did to you, family.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
You are responsible enough. You are sober enough for that woman to not wake up the next morning
Thank you.
and feel what she feels. So I say that to say this. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. And you need to watch out, because just because he looked like you don't mean that he ride with you. I pray for all my sisters. I pray for all my young sisters that has experienced any kind of sexual assault. But worse than sexual assault, has experienced the skepticism. The I don't know until I hear the other side of the story-nism. The story doesn't sound right-nism. For everybody that experienced that ism, we stand by you, we love you, we see you, and we love you.
Thank you.
Peace and blessings, family. We out.
And we are Orlando Strong. Thank you so much for joining us. Peace out.